Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of 3 Points with Carroll College Basketball, and I'm joined, first time a little bit, by Carroll College head coach Ryan Lundgren. Coach, how we doing?
Doing well. Just 3 games into conference, getting ready to leave for Billings here in a couple hours, and hoping the roads are all right.
Right on. Yeah, obviously this will come out on the day that Carroll plays Rocky Mountain, but obviously we got to record before Coach hits the road. But Coach, as you said, you just got into Frontier play. Just what's your initial kind of evaluation of Frontier Conference?
Well, I knew it was tough, but I think until you're actually in it, you don't realize how tough it is. Top to bottom, the league is incredibly competitive. There's no gimme games at all. I think that whoever you want to say the last place team in the league is, I mean, there's everybody's good enough to beat anybody at the top or bottom, road or home. You got to bring your A game every night to win in this league. So, but ultimately it'll prepare whatever teams make it out of the Frontier into national conference, national tournament play. I think they'll be ready just based off the battles you have to face here every night.
For sure. And then obviously 2 weeks ago I got to have your guys' star guard Kendall Moore on the show. He was great. Got to talk a lot with him about the future games, but also just him and as a person and his college journey. And then we're going to get to him a little later in one of your past games. But always, as we look back, first things first, you all went up to Providence. I didn't get to obviously watch that game up in Great Falls, but I know they have some good guards on that team. But in your first career Frontier Conference game, you came out with a win on the road. I guess just take me through how that went.
Well, it was a battle. We controlled a lot of that game. Led by double digits several times, and but we knew Providence is dangerous. You hit on it. Their guard play is probably about as good as anybody in the Frontier, and they were able to stretch us out down the stretch and get stops when they needed. Made some timely shots, and then James Lang makes the huge play on the last possession. Cook does a great job contesting the shot, and then James goes and chases it down and kind of has the wherewithal to turn to the ref and call a timeout and seal the game. So, again, a one-possession win in Frontier play, it's just it always comes down. I always talk about, margin for error at this level is very slim, and so we really try to focus on, how we can widen that margin, whether it be, defending or rebounding, not turning the ball over, making free throws. And so I think we did a lot of those things pretty well to get that one.
And I did see the clip of that play that you talked about where James Lang grabs the ball with like a second. He said to go and called the timeout. Really high IQ basketball play. I'm sure as a coach you were excited to see that. And then moving on, you came here for home opener in Frontier Conference, and you played Montana Western team, a tough team, obviously a team has some guys who've been here in the Frontier before, just like a lot of these teams. Really back and forth game, came out of the wire, and then I'll definitely clip it in the show, but Kendall Moore drives and then fades away and hits a shot at the buzzer beater at home. Super electric play. Great to see that for Kendall. Obviously, knowing him and his journey, it's super fun to see that. But I guess just how did you feel that game went, and what was going through your head when Kendall Moore took that shot?
Saints on the inbounds. 4 seconds. Tied game. Moore will drive. Moore fall away from the baseline.
I got it.
Count it. The Saints win. The Saints win.
Yeah, that was a great game. I mean, I felt like at halftime, I think we were up 7 or 8. I felt like we easily could have been up about 15. We didn't capitalize. They came out pretty sluggish, and they really turned it on because they're a good team in the second half. But I felt like that first half we could have easily gone into halftime up, 12 to 14 points had we capitalized on a few mistakes. But we got sloppy down the stretch of the first half ourselves, and only went into half up 7 or 8, and then they came out and hit us in the mouth right off the bat, tied the game up quick, and then they had a lead for a lot of the second half, not a big one, but 4 to 7 points, and we got timely stops down the stretch. Everybody looks at Kendall because he hits the shot, but Zane Foster's minutes, the last 5 minutes were key in terms of blocking shots and getting rebounds, and then he had a couple buckets on the block as well that really got us in that thing and got us a lead. And then, but yeah, Kendall made a great shot. We don't call a timeout on the last play. We just kind of push the ball and open the floor up and let our playmaker make a play. And that's, ironically, that jump stop, pivot, fadeaway shot is something that Kendall actually works on and does a pretty good job with. So it's not like he just pulled a rabbit out of his hat. That's actually a shot and a technique that he works on pretty regularly. So happy to see him have success. His dad was here watching the game, so it's pretty cool for him to see that. And much needed win for us, obviously, to put us at 2-0 at the time, going into that Tech game. So.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, going to that Tech game, but yeah, it's 2-0, and then you came into a game against Montana Tech. Obviously, I think everyone whose cars started, and Helen, I got to the game. It felt like a pretty good turnout for the weather, obviously. School hadn't started yet either on campus, but and coming into it, it was obviously Coach Hyatt. He's got a really good team over down there at Tech, really talented. They've been nationally ranked. They won the conference last year. They came in here, and y'all came out really hot, had a lead at halftime in the second half. Still a really back and forth game kind of up until the final stretches where they finally were able to kind of use a lot of that experience they have as a veteran team in this league and pull ahead of y'all. But how did you feel like that game did go?
I honestly thought, you could make the argument we outplayed them for probably 30 minutes of that game. I mean, we just, first half, again, we came out firing, went into halftime up, I think 8, stretched it to 10 early in the second half. Kendall got his third and fourth foul. He gets the shooting foul on Belich, and then the double tech with him and Asa Williams, which was very untimely, not a heady play, which he knows. He's a veteran, he's smart, and he's going to be better because of that. But it hurt us having him on the bench for 10 minutes. And Shahid Mohammed stepped up and played some great minutes, had 11 points in his absence. But the problem is when you don't have Kendall or Cook on the floor at the same time, offense is tough to come by at times because those two are two of the best in the conference. So we stalled out a little on the offensive end, and then I felt like down the stretch we just didn't get the stops we needed. And credit to Tech, I mean, they've got multiple guys on the floor who have been there before, and they're a veteran team, and it showed. We made some mistakes late that they capitalized on, and that was kind of the difference in the game, But we were right there, and I think most of all it instilled a lot of confidence in our guys that, there's nobody in the conference that we can't play with on a nightly basis. So would we have liked to win? 100%, but I really feel like the trajectory of this team is headed in the right direction, and they're getting better.
Yeah, and I will say, as just someone who's watched this team, I was impressed. That was a great game, and also I always do enjoy getting to talk to you after the games because at my point in that game, I didn't realize it was a double tech when that they. I don't think maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I didn't realize it was a double tech, so I didn't realize Kendall did have 3 and him and Ace are out for a while, and that definitely changed the game for sure. But Shahid looked great. Andrew Cook, another great game there. It was fun to watch him play with energy. But moving on to the future, as always, point 2. That doesn't always get easier. You're going on the road, a tough road game against Rocky Mountain, a team ranked. They beat Division I Montana State here, something that a lot of people saw. They got Jesse Owens, a point guard, really veteran player on that team. He guy used to play at Montana State. They have Stevens and Robinson, 2 foreign guys who are just super talented. They can kind of play positionless basketball like you see from those foreign players. And then, of course, a bunch of other really good complementary players. So I guess just going to this Rocky game, what's the mentality?
Anytime you go on the road, you have to know that things probably aren't going to go your way at times, whether it be the other team's just going to flat out play better because they're at home, or you're not going to get some calls on the road. You're not sleeping in your own bed. There's a lot of things, a lot of excuses you can make at the end of the day, but we handled our business last time on the road at Providence, and I think our guys just need to understand how good of a team Rocky is and what we need to do to beat them. And, we really want to try to control tempo and control the glass like we always do. And, you talk about Jesse Owens, that's a kid. I coached Jesse for a few years in AAU, so I'm very familiar with his game. And he's a tremendous young man. He's a great player, and he really makes them go, And so ball screen defense is going to be really key in that game to contain him, because when he's able to get penetration and stretch your bigs out, it creates mismatches and closeouts and rotations that ultimately make them tough to beat, So, but there again, we talk about how good the league is. They're as good as anybody. I mean, they beat a Division I school. They had Tech beat. They were right there. Took them to overtime in Butte. But then they turn around and they lose to Northern at home in overtime, which Northern's very good too. So, and we got them on Saturday. So, my message to these guys is always, take one game at a time. You focus everything on Rocky. We know how good Northern is, but we'll focus on them Friday once the game's over, and give it our best shot. But again, if we play our brand of basketball, we play smart, we play hard, play together, I do really feel we can beat anybody in the conference.
For sure. And then, yeah, you hit on Northern a little bit, but yeah, just what's your quick little scout on their team? But by the time we roll over there, and we'll play them Saturday.
Yeah, good guard play. I think Coach Hughes, is good as any coach in the conference. I mean, he's very good at what he does. He gets the most out of his guys. They're disciplined, they're tough, and those teams are always difficult to beat. We get to play at home, which is nice, but we know that game's going to be a dogfight. But again, we're not even looking at that one yet until we, about 9:30, 10 p.m. on Thursday night. Then we'll start shifting our focus. But tough 2-game stretch coming up. But again, it's to be expected in this conference every night for the next, Thursday and Saturday for the next month. It's going to be this way.
For sure, and as you talked about, then next week, the next week there'll be obviously 2 games, but we already got to talk about Providence and Western will be your next 2 opponents. So that's all we have from the upcoming future part of things. And then finally, third question. So let's say you get given a big house plant, like one of the really big ones. It's like needs to be watered, really attentive. Maybe it's from your mother-in-law, so you want to keep your seat at the Thanksgiving table. Like you don't want this plant to die, essentially. But you got to go on a big trip. You got to go to maybe like Cabo or something. You've had it planned for a while. So I know your assistant coaches would be good to do it, but who are some of the maybe players that you'd want to help take care of this really large house plant when you're gone?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm fortunate because I could literally give you all 17 guys on this roster. I mean, that's how responsible these kids are. And I make the joke, I call coaching friends of mine, we had 51 7 a.m. practices this fall, and I didn't have one kid late to one of them, which is a miracle as far as I'm concerned. It speaks volumes about the character of this group. But, one guy stands out in my mind just in terms of how reliable he is and dependable he is as a person and a teammate, and that's Aiden McGarvin. Doesn't get a lot of credit. You don't get to see it on the floor. He's going to be a big part of this program for the next few years. Just his leadership alone is invaluable to our program. And, if I had an expensive plant and I didn't want that thing to die, I know McGarvin, whether the roads were as icy as they are now or if it was crystal clear and sunny out, he'd be there on time to water it. So, like I said, I could go with any of them, but that's the one that stands out to me.
Awesome. That's a great answer. And as we found out 2 weeks ago, Kendall Morris's scarf's pretty good at golf too, I guess. So,
yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
Well, that's all I have for you now, Coach. Good luck this weekend, and thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it.